Hello and welcome back to another episode of Diablo to D&D. My name is David, and today we're going to be going over the changelog for February 17th. But first, of course, is the campaign update. So, not terribly much happened this time around. We're headed into the Flayer jungle to pick up the Gidbin. That's right. And I had some people not make it last week, so what I did was just I sent the ones that were going to show up into the village. But given that there was only two of them, I kind of pulled some of my punches and let them have a bit more fun with things. One of the players had mentioned, I had mentioned as setting of the scene, that there was a well in the middle of the village. And he said, it'd be so cool if we could go down the well. And I was like, there we go. That's a great idea. So they're headed down the well after some fighting and finding out that there's something under the village. There's tunnels under the village. I said, yeah, okay. We'll have a miniature dungeon as you guys go exploring the kind of aquifer that had dried up. And the village disappeared because of that. So they're having fun, and it shouldn't be too terribly long. Probably next week they'll finish the Gidbin, Blade of the Old Religion quest, and get back onto some more other interesting things. But we'll see. All right, the changelog. Barbarian's leap attack is now only once per turn. I realized you could hop over somebody a couple of times each turn and just make 4 attacks. And that's shut down. Likewise, on the topic of not dealing enough or dealing too much damage, the Druid's Poison Vine's damage is now 2d4 instead of a number of d4s equal to your proficiency bonus. This is to nerf it, because otherwise it was really, really good. I could see bumping that up to 2d6, but the vine is kind of intended to be, like, maybe you can get some flanking, or, it's definitely a utility for the solar vine, or the vine solar and vine carrion at later levels. I believe it's 8th level, 9th level. I don't remember. The Paladin's Thorns aura now works with any weapon attack, not just melee. Just to give it a bit more utility, it was really weak just as a melee attack retaliation. For the next few, those are ones I go over in the previous video where I tweak the sorceress leveling. So if you want to see my logic behind all of those changes, you can go check it out. I'll put a card up in the top right, I believe, so that you can go find that video. For the sorceress, the next couple are me making some changes while I was on the topic of making changes to the leveling. Chain Lightning no longer restricts the damage or the number of targets. Now that it was bumped from, I believe, 10th up to 14th, you actually have the ability to cast those kinds of spells, so the restriction is removed. Teleport, Blizzard, Firewall, Chain Lightning, and Thunderstorm can now cast their respective spells without expending a spell slot. Now that you have spell slots, you can cast them without expending a spell slot. Blizzard's modification now applies to each cast, not just when it's cast using the ability. This is, you learn the spell, so you can cast it using your spell slots as well. For the sorceress, again, you may apply Thunderstorm's change to any casting of the spell, not just when it's cast using the ability. And for the next one, while Thunderstorm is active, you call lightning down at the start of each of your turns, rather than as a bonus action or an action for the spell. This is a way to power it up. Because it's now an 18th level feature, it's just kind of this passive hits somebody under the area. Speaking of which, Thunderstorm can't fail if the area doesn't fit the cloud, instead filling the available area. This is a way that you can get the spell to go off like indoors or underground. It's still a little wonky, but it's not unusable. Alright, and lastly for the sorceress, the spells granted by Frozen Armor to teleport Ice Bolt, Blizzard, Firebolt, Firewall, Chain Lightning, and Thunderstorm no longer count against the number of spells or cantrips you know. This is something that I realized as I was going over it, that anytime a spellcasting class gets a spell, it has to specify that this does not count against the number of spells you know. The only time where this is not the case is the Bard's Mystic Arcanum. But in each of those instances, when you get the Mystic Arcanum, you get 2 spells rather than 1. So it kind of, quote-unquote, doesn't count against the number of spells you know. But it kind of does. Alright, finishing up. The Druid's Spirit Wolf's passive perception now scales appropriately instead of just being a flat 13. I had messed that one up. I had made a couple of changes to it way back when, and just forgot to set it back to however it was supposed to be. And then for the Barbarian, increased speed now gives disadvantage to opportunity attacks when you dash. This was me going over increased speed and just the Barbarian in general and thinking some of these features are not mid to high level features. Like the D&D Barbarian gets a movement speed, I think at like 5th level. Yeah, you get fast movement at 5th level, and it's like getting 13th level, 10 feet, but being able to dash as a bonus action is really, really nice. So I decided to give you something a bit more, because the D&D Barbarian gets brutal critical at 13. So yeah. Anyway, I think that is going to be it for today. You can find me at XenosFan2, that is XENOZFAN2 on Blue Sky and Reddit. I have actually had somebody contact me on Reddit, so yes, I do actually answer that. If you have any way of getting, if you don't have a Blue Sky, then contact me on Reddit. And you can contact the channel directly at Diablo TODND on Blue Sky and YouTube. Thank you much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good whatever.